Okay, so after two interesting talks, my talk will be rather on what we identified as need, more like a reflection on what challenges, opportunities are now in biodiversity mapping, but using UAVs, using drones. And we started to do the work in BioClima project, and we collected a few data sets, and then we look at the data and tried ways in order to do this sensor fusion, how to fusion all the data into one and then further assess. But we came up with a few issues, I would say, or challenges, and that we want to share with you. So it's going to be more like a theoretical presentation, less than an applied one. Okay, so why it is important to have this sensor fusion? For several reasons. First of all, because when you do biodiversity mapping, either you do habitat monitoring or species proxies or stress detection, it always needs to have lots and lots of data, hence this big data issue, and which is also the topic of the conference. And then how come this big data? Because UAVs are usually collecting data at a very, very fine scale detail. So you have centimeters detail with most of the time centimeters or tens of centimeters accuracy. And now they are becoming more and more equipped with lots of sensors. RGB has been around for quite a long time, multispectral, but now more and more thermal LiDAR, radar, gas sensors, and hyperspectral. Hyperspectral being still a bit pricier, but all the others are, I would say, affordable with the exception of radar. So integration of multiple sensors leads in biodiversity mapping to better analysis of structure, better analysis of function, better analysis of composition, stress, and etc. Hence this diagram on the right-hand side, where fusion stays in the middle, and we try to create like a structure on showing what kind of sensor does what kind of provides what kind of data and what is the function. So I would say that it summarized the importance of having this fusion. So the idea is that not a single sensor captures all the habitat dimensions, so we need to have them merged. Now, in terms of opportunities for UAV sensor fusion, biodiversity mapping, we started to work with, in our case studies, with LiDAR data sets, with thermal, multispectral, and combine them all together. Now, those are just a few images that they were collected or generated automatically that shows the role of each of the sensors and what kind of opportunities we have with these sensors. Pretty much common knowledge at this time that you can get canopy height model from the LiDAR, but if you combine LiDAR with multispectral data, then you can get much more than that. And then at the end, you can upscale and derive indicators using satellite images, and then do this analysis at regional scale, starting from local one. Dominic, waiting. Okay. Now, the main challenges that we identified are related to several aspects, which are more or less technical ones. One is vertical and horizontal accuracy. So when we collect this data, even though we have RTK, non-RTK, we have targets on the ground, whatever, they poses lots and lots of questions. First of all, considering that the environment is different. So with this AI-generated image, what we try to say is that depending on where you are collecting this data, it's going to be very hard to place ground control points or targets. It's going to be hard to collect data on very rough and steep terrains, even though placing targets there, and it's going to be quite difficult to do that in very narrow gorges. So still this accuracy, this alignment that it's generated after that it suffers a lot. So this is one of the issues that it's still, let's say, not really solved with aligning the images on the vertical and horizontal scale. Another one that we found out is that how you process this data. And within the project, we have a task that is dedicated to standardization of data collection and process. And now people are collecting the data and processing the data using different algorithms, but none of this is standard. So when you process with structure from motion, you either obtain ortho images or digital elevation models, but those are noisy. How you can actually merge them? Are they useful? Can you add LiDAR? So these kind of issues are still a challenge in combining and using structure from motion. Or can we actually process on the same aerial block images that are coming from different sensors? This is another challenge that, to my knowledge, is not solved yet. Another one is related to sensor misalignments, which is sensor misalignments. In our case, when I designed this, it's actually an issue that we approach it in a paper where we have digital elevation models coming from different sensors and how you can actually match them on a vertical, horizontal, and vertical scale and horizontal scale. So there are a lot of issues that we encounter with the same thing, with thermal, with multi-date flights, with geometric shifts between multi-sensors. So this is another issue that has to be tackled and solved. And of course, when we are using radiometric sensors, multispectral ones, widely used in biodiversity mapping, and hyperspectral one, and thermal, each of these sensors is highly influenced by the local condition, environmental conditions that can change very fast. Example, in multispectral and hyperspectral, we use panels and sun angle corrections. In RGB, we use auto exposure of the cameras in order to correct very fast in the air the image exposure. And in thermal, it's very difficult because besides the uncertainties associated with the sensor itself, there are lots and lots of issues that are introduced by the environment. So wind shear, rain, cloud, everything affects very fast the data collection and has an impact on the data that we collect that we need to further fusion. In literature, there are some challenges and solutions for this, and we did a review. We are working on a review on this kind of opportunities with UAVs. And there are these resolution gaps that you can actually tackle using intermediate resolution fusion. Then there are thermal and optical alignment that you can use various optical thermal super resolution models. Sorry, Bob, but those are AI models. Geometric distortions that you can tackle using various spectral spatial regularization that we also used in our paper, or using AI enhanced detection for very small objects that we can further use in order to align on the vertical and horizontal scale. So there have been lots of approaches, there are solutions, but still fusion at a very, very fine scale as the images from UAV gets us, it's not that easy to obtain. So I hope I was fast, 10 minutes almost. Conclusion and future developments. So we are going to work on collecting much more data in order to develop models and algorithms that allows an easy fusion of the data. We are going to do that within the framework of the BioClima project, focusing on 2 case studies in Romania, which are in Dobruja Steppe region and Aerogane National Park, because they are completely different ones in terms of landscape and environment. And then the next step would be to build an operational biodiversity modeling pipeline. Thank you for your attention. And Linlu, I think I was in time or maybe 1 minute late.